All right, let's talk cricket. Specifically, the 2025 Women's 50 Over World Cup. I mean, this is one of the biggest events on the entire sporting calendar, right? You've got 8 incredible teams, 6 weeks of non-stop action, and really just one massive question that everyone's asking. And that question is, who's going to lift that trophy? I mean, every fan has their favorite, every commentator has a hot take, but today we're going to try something a little different. We're going to cut through the noise. That's right, we're pushing all the opinions and gut feelings aside. This preview, it's based purely on the numbers. We're not bringing in outside stats or biases. It's all about what the cold, hard data tells us. So let's get into it. Okay, so before we can figure out who's going to win, we first need to understand how we're going to figure it out. We're going to break down the 3 key metrics we're using to map out this entire tournament. First up is what we call top 5 readings. Honestly, the easiest way to think about this is just star power. It's a score that averages out the quality of a team's 5 best batters and their 5 best bowlers. It basically tells you how much pure, game-changing talent does this team have. If you see a score of 8 or higher, you're looking at truly elite world-class players. Next, we have depth, and this one's all about resilience. You know, what happens when your star players just have an off day? It happens. A team with good depth has other players who can step up and still get the job done. But a team with poor depth, well, if their stars fail, the whole thing can fall apart pretty quickly. And our third metric is variety. Think of this as a team's tactical toolbox. How many different ways can they attack you? For batting, it's about having that lefty-righty mix to mess with the bowlers. And for bowling, it's about the whole arsenal, right? Pace, off-spin, leg spin. The more options you have, the better you can adapt to different teams and different pitches. All right, so now we know the rules of the game. We've got our 3 key metrics, so let's do it. Let's apply them to all 8 teams competing and see what we find out. This, right here, is where the story of the World Cup really starts to take shape. And here it is, the whole shebang. This is the complete data set for every single team. It's kind of like our bird's eye view of the entire tournament. And even just at a quick glance, you can see some huge differences, can't you? You've got a team like Australia looking solid pretty much everywhere. And then you see the numbers for a team like Bangladesh, and you can see the challenge they're facing. Let's start breaking this down, and we'll kick things off with the batting. Okay, let's look at that top-end batting talent. A pretty clear picture emerges right away, doesn't it? Look at India, leading the pack with a massive 7.0 rating. And right on their heels, you've got the serious firepower of Australia and South Africa. But this chart also shows the other side of the story. That huge gap down to a team like Bangladesh with a rating of just 1.7. That's a massive difference in top-order strength. But now, let's flip over to the bowling ratings. And whoa, the whole story changes. Suddenly, it's Australia just dominating with an incredible 7.4 rating. I mean, that just confirms how strong they are all around. England's looking pretty formidable too at 6.8. But look where India is. Their rating plummets to just 5.6. And this is so important. It tells us that while their batting might be the best in the world, their bowling could be a serious Achilles heel. You know, it's really interesting. When you pull all this data together, the teams almost sort themselves into these neat little groups. You get these distinct tiers of contention. It really helps build a clear narrative for the tournament, so let's walk through it, one tier at a time. And right at the very top, in a tier all by themselves, are the defending champions, Australia. Yeah, according to these numbers, there's just no debate. They are the team to beat. So, why are they the overwhelming favorites? Well, their profile just says it all. They've got fantastic ratings for both batting and bowling. They have good depth across the board, which means they don't just rely on 1 or 2 superstars. And they have great variety to top it all off. You look at this on paper, and they are, without a doubt, the most complete and balanced team in the competition. And if you want a perfect example of what makes this team so good, just look at a player like Annabelle Sutherland. Get this. Over the last 2 years, she's averaging almost 48 with the bat and under 24 with the ball. That is a truly world-class all-rounder. She basically is the Australian team in a nutshell, power and depth in every single department. Okay, so if Australia is the team to beat, who's got the best chance of actually doing it? Well, the data points to 2 main challengers. But what's fascinating is that they are built to win in completely different ways. Let's start with India. Their profile is just a classic clash of styles, isn't it? On one hand, you have the best top 5 batting lineup in the entire tournament with that 7.0 rating. But on the other hand, their bowling is a real concern. a rating of just 5.6 and poor depth. So the question for India is crystal clear. Can their incredible batters score enough runs game after game to make up for a bowling attack that looks, well, pretty vulnerable? And the player leading that charge? The amazing Smriti Mandhana. I mean, just listen to these numbers since 2022. An average of nearly 56 at a strike rate over 95. That's just unreal. For India to have any chance of winning it all, she needs to be at her absolute best. Now, let's talk about England, because they're almost the complete opposite of India. Their superpower is their formidable spin attack, led by arguably the best in the world, Sophie Ecclestone. The problem? Their batting. The numbers are just not that strong, a rating of only 5.8 and poor variety, partly because they don't have any left-handers in their top order. So their game plan is simple. Control the game, squeeze teams with their incredible bowlers, and hope to score just enough runs. And for that plan to have any chance of working, one player absolutely has to fire, Natalie Sciver. She is so critical to this team. Since 2022, she's averaging almost 60 with the bat. She is literally carrying the weight of their batting hopes on her shoulders. England needs her to post big totals to give those brilliant bowlers something to defend. So we've got our top three locked in: Australia, India, and England. That leaves just one semifinal spot up for grabs. And according to the data, the race for that final spot is going to be absolutely fascinating and incredibly tight. And it boils down to a classic matchup between two very different styles. In one corner, you've got South Africa. They've got the explosive, elite batting firepower with superstars like Wolvaardt and Cap. But the data shows they're held back by shaky form and a lack of variety. And in the other corner, New Zealand. They're a much more balanced, solid team with good depth all around. Their problem? Their overall quality just isn't quite at that top-tier level. So what's it going to be? Pure star power or all-around consistency? Okay, we've gone through the metrics, we've looked at all the teams, we've sorted them into tiers. So it's time to put it all together. What is the final, data-driven verdict? So if you trust the numbers, this is how the tournament should shake out. At the top, Australia stands alone as the clear favorite. Right behind them is India, their main challenger, hoping their world-class batting can carry them to victory. Then you have England, a serious contender, who will be relying on their incredible bowling attack. And that all-important fourth spot, it's a true toss-up between the star power of South Africa and the solid teamwork of New Zealand. So there you have it. The data gives us a pretty clear roadmap, and it points to one very powerful favorite. But this is why we love sports, right? The numbers can tell you what should happen, but they can't predict the drama, the upsets, the human element. The real beauty of a World Cup is that it's always unpredictable. So the big question is, will the tournament follow the script? Or is there a dark horse out there just waiting to rip it all up and rewrite the ending? I guess we'll just have to watch and find out.